Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, NBs and the NSX, I present to you a new kind of angry internet reviewer. He's soft-spoken, he's posh, he's artistic, and he's dashingly handsome with his round and perfectly circular aviators and his swag-goth pirate fashion sense. But most importantly, he sails the seas to find obscure and cheesy movies and stuff. Give it up for Captain Spifari!
Welcome, everybody, to Sailing the Seas of Cinema and Other Media. I'm your host, Captain Spifari, a whimsically autistic and Shakespearean acting connoisseur of weird and obscure pieces of media. Mostly animated films, but occasionally live-action stuff as well as video games, one of which we are looking at today.
So, who here grew up with two-dimensional platformer video games? I did. I grew up with many things. One thing that I did indeed grow up with is James Pond. He's a secret agent fish with a license to gill.
James Pond is licensed to gill.
See? He has a license to gill.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. It's licensed to bubble. That sounds absolutely terrible. Anyways, James Pond, underwater agent, tells the story of an orange-colored mudskipper who works for FI5H, a heroic organization of spies determined to save the world, or the ocean more accurately. And accordingly, unlike most classical platformers, Pond is a water dweller whose health slowly depletes when he must venture onto land. Originally released for the Commodore Amiga in 1990 and ported to the Sega Megadrive Genesis a year later by Electronic Arts, it was developed by Vectordean, a short-lived developer that mainly consisted of the work of a Chris Sorrell, who would later become famous for the Medieval series. It was published by Millennium Interactive, which would later be bought out by Sony Interactive. James Pond is basically one of those semi-well-known video game characters who never was as popular as Mario or Sonic, but still occupies a place in the heart of many who grew up through various points during the 16-bit era. Sort of like the Don Bluth or Richard Rich of video games. What those two guys were to Disney, especially being former Disney animators, many of the quirky, cartoonier video game characters were to Mario and Sonic.
Speaking of Richard Rich, the director of The Swan Princess, I actually only grew up with the second sequel to The Swan Princess, Mystery of the Enchanted Treasure, and likewise, I only grew up with the sequels to James Pond, James Pond 2 codename Robocod, and James Pond 3 Operation Starfish. For some reason, in our household, getting only the sequels to a popular media property was a thing. For like, 2 to 3 things, and popular in this case is kind of loose. Basically, if I had a nickel for every time it happened, I only have about 3 nickels, which, you know, that's not much, but it's still weird. It's happened twice.
Anyways, James Pond is much more well known in its native UK than over here in the US, so as an American, I may add something to the discourse about this game.
What? You didn't think my fabulous Tim Curry impression
Was my regular voice, did you? Anyways, enough talking about stupid background information that doesn't matter. Let's talk about the actual game itself, and figure out, is it a rare vessel carrying a prized treasure of underrated glory, or is it a sailing shit that needs to be sunk to the bottom of the sea of piss? Let's find out.
So, as you can tell by the name of this character, our protagonist is obviously a parody of James Bond, and fittingly enough, the intro opens with a parody of the MGM logo, but with the amphibiously faced fish taking the place of the lion. Here's a fun fact. Electronic Arts was actually named in reference to United Artists, the original distributors of the James Bond films before Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer bought them out. The levels typically go like this. Pond must either save animals or collect certain objects in the level, usually leading the former to safety or taking the latter to a wooden boat resting atop the water. Our first level is License to Bubble. That's not even a pun, it's just an extremely awkward and clunky word substitution. And it does not really reflect the level in which you must save these trapped lobsters from being taken up by the evil humans on the boat above. You save them by grabbing these keys and simply swimming over to the cages, and they are freed. Rather simple, all the while showing no mercy to these evil crabs and fish.
Yes, most of the enemies in this game are other sea life.
Now, as you traverse the level, you will notice these little holes that lead to caverns. Everything's better with caverns. This one is a happy cavern with items stacked on shelves. A different type has a treasure box that dispenses random, sometimes harmful items, and all of them turn into a cave filled with enemies where Pond spawns on the opposite end of the room from the exit, following the initial entry. You apparently get points from touching these random letters that I don't really know what are supposed to be. Right now, I would like to make an observation of the differences between the Amiga and Megadrive versions. Most of the background colors have been changed in the Genesis version, and unfortunately they look disappointing. The Sega Genesis was known for, at the time, its amazing parallax backgrounds. That being said, I actually do prefer how the Mega Drive's level mission cards look. It looks more top secret, so to speak. It reminds me a bit of Desert Strike, another EA published game for the Sega Genesis I really enjoyed. As you can see, there is a timer. It's the remaining time you have to complete the mission. If the counter gets down to 10, this Inspector Gadget-looking fish will chase you down. Well, in the Amiga version, nothing happens in the Genesis version, except if you run out of time, you'll lose. Sometimes, I think. If you've managed to collect enough items or save enough animals, you will be fine though. Now, as you can see, there are multiple pipes leading to the next levels. They're only labeled in the Amiga version, but good luck not getting confused with that too. Liberating lobsters! Pond, you did it! Now let's move on to the next level, From Sellafield with Love, or alternatively, From 3 Mile Island with Love in the Genesis version. In addition to its allusion to the Bond film From Russia with Love, both titles reference shut-down nuclear power plants that had notorious accidents. Sellafield being in Seascale in the United Kingdom, and 3 Mile Island being in Pennsylvania, in fact, an island within the Susquehanna River. So depending on which version of the game you're playing, Pond is rescuing an innocent pink fish from a radioactive waste-polluted body of water, either off the coast of Cumbria, or from a river that's a few miles in the United States East Coast. If he doesn't rescue the fishies on time, they will become mutated. Oh no, Pond was too late! Some of the fish have already turned into evil green gremlin fish!
Wait, what the hell? Did he just take damage from a flower?
There is no way that the flower actually hurt James Pond. It has to be something else. I mean, that spot doesn't hurt you in the Genesis version. Anyways, there is a tool that you can collect in this level. You just have to hop carefully onto these platforms or let the pelican carry you, and you will find a fishbowl helmet. It helps Pond survive on land for longer. You can store an item by going into the entry pipe, which takes you to Pond's home. Home? And as we can see, Pond lives near the wreckage of the Titanic. And there is a difference between the Genesis and the Amiga version here. On this menu, you can switch between items you've stored, or you can simply pick nothing. Except you really cannot select nothing in the Amiga version. It forces you to keep carrying what you already were, unless you actually chose something else, and that being because Pond cannot carry two things at a time. By which I mean he can't carry an object with his hands if he's wearing something on his head.
Fantastic. This is a nice gameplay mechanic. An idiot protagonist who somehow can't mentally process holding something in his hand while wearing something on his head. Who gets hurt by fucking flowers?
I showed this game to my friend, who speculated that maybe the flowers are supposed to be some kind of carnivorous plant, a la the piranha plants from Super Mario Bros., since if you look closely, the flowers do appear to have mouths. But still, if that was their intention, they should have animated the flowers at least. Anyways, for some cock-brained reason, the exit does not take you to the official 3rd level, but the 4th level. In the fish with the golden bar, you have to collect gold.
Gold, 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 gold!
And take it up to this boat, all the while avoiding this ghost who will become a massive pain in the arse, as well as these vampire fish. This enemy is one of the few enemies who actually appears in multiple games. The vampire fish returns in James Pond 2 Robocod during an underwater level that clearly evokes this game. There's a starfish you can get here, a red one that gives Pond super speed. Though Pond is already pretty fast in the Genesis version, and it can make him a bit unstable, so it's best to not collect this star in that version. You also need these shades. They help you see invisible jellyfish that hurt you when they're invisible, but you can't hurt them even by taking a guess.
I complain about this obviously unfair and pointlessly difficult gameplay mechanic, especially because it's designed to force the player to go into their home inventory in a later level, which really sucks in the Genesis version, because in that version, you can only access your home inventory once per level! That's nice! But I won't complain. Instead, I will point out again that most of the enemies in this game are other sea life. Do you see the problem with this?
And again, as I said earlier, you cannot hold the bars of gold while wearing the shades! Thankfully though, the jellyfish do not respawn after you take them out in either version of the game. This level is far easier in the Megadrive Genesis version because there you can just collect 5 of the bars, while in the Amiga version you have to collect all 8 of them. Now Mission 3, which is either the 4th or the 2nd level you play, is called A View to Spill. One guess for what this level's about? Mission 3! The Acme Oil Company are allowing oil to gush into the sea from an old oil platform.
Oh my. This means that James Pond takes place in the Looney Tunes universe.
I remember watching Duck Dodgers on Cartoon Network quite a bit around the same time I first played James Pond 2 and James Pond 3, and also saw Looney Tunes back in action at the time, and the fact that that movie has its own James Bond references and cliché parodies makes this game much funnier. It also makes Tiny Toon Adventures so much darker now. Buster, Babs, Hampton, and Fifi are all attending a high school/college owned by the evil Dr. Maybe.
Oh, by the way, did I mention that this game has a main antagonist? Because the game itself doesn't. Well, at least not until the last level.
Dr. Maybe is basically this game's Dr. Eggman Robotnik /Dr. Wily /Dr. Phil.
Whoops! Sorry. sorry, my bad. He's a real-life evil doctor!
He's basically the stand-in for two iconic Bond villains, both Dr. No, which his name is a spoof of, and more or less Blofeld. Anyways, one of his oil platforms is evil and is spilling oil into the ocean, BP style. You must place dynamite at the base of the platform to blow it up. So an oil rig is dumping oil into the ocean? Easy, just set all the oil on fire. That won't make things worse.
Then again, this is the same company that sells defective explosives to Wile E. Coyote, so it might work.
Ah shit, make sure you don't get these. Whereas green stars give you more bubble power, red stars give you super speed, and yellow stars instantly replenish your health, brown stars cause you to lose control of Pond by bouncing him up and down off the sea floor. The same goes with glue, which makes Pond stuck in place for a few seconds, and this item that is labeled oil in the Megadrive version, and JD? I think that might stand for Jack Daniels. In the Amiga version, it's obviously an alcohol bottle. For some reason, the Genesis version censored it into oil. Why? It's not promoting alcohol use.
I can't seem to reach that stick of dynamite because I'm being pulled downwards by these vents? Neither can I get to that one in that gap because I'm being pushed away.
What the hell? I'm running out of time! Damn it! I ran out of time because I couldn't get those cursed dynamite sticks! Oh well, I guess I can try again. What the hell? It's game over completely?!
Yeah, that's a nice feature of this game. The placement of the objects is absolutely random in both the Amiga and Genesis versions, and it especially doesn't help that the Amiga version straight up demands more of the player. Seriously, how the hell am I supposed to beat the level if I can't get through whatever those are? Oh, there is a way to beat the level with his arrangement, and it's bird shit stupid!
So, get this. For some reason, I don't know why or how, if you play the level, this happens. Dynamite? Why the hell is there dynamite in Pond's home inventory? And it stays there for the whole game! Though at least this does mean you won't lose other items stored there. It would be less stupid if the dynamite actually did anything outside of this level, since explosions do exist in the game, such as these landmines, some of which are disguised as rubber ducks, as well as bomb items that don't instantly kill Pond, but send a series of explosions chasing him. Still, you can't really kill enemies with explosions, which sucks because this game really could have been better if you could. It also only puts dynamite into Pond's house after he collects the other dynamite sticks and places them at the bottom of the oil platform. So don't try doing this at the start of the level. Speaking of the dynamite, the manual's list of missions says that the platform will explode 99 seconds after you place the first stick.
Yes, that's actually not true. It doesn't blow up. You just get a time's up game over. What a disappointment. I was actually hoping there'd at least be an explosion animation. That could at least be kind of interesting.
The next level, for your fins only, has toxic waste cans lying on the seafloor of the Mediterranean coast. You need to place them in the path of these human enemies above the water, referred to as laser louts in the Amiga version and beach bums in the Sega Genesis version. This is the only enemy who appears in all three Pond games. He seems to have the British flag on his shirt in this game, he has a heart on his shirt in Robocod, and in James Pond 3, he has the former Walmart mascot and is known as Space Yob, and also has a space helmet. Right away, you will notice this very interesting enemy. He appears to be of the same species as Pond himself, having a fishy body with arms and a frog-like face, but he's green, and he sometimes appears to be drinking the toxic waste. This makes the game very dark, as it implies that these fish were formerly James Pond's own fellow mudskippers, who were mutated into evil green fish. Look, the same fish from either Sellafield or the Susquehanna River who were mutated are showing up here too.
And as I mentioned earlier, the organization doing this is called Acme. What other time has that group been associated with a glowing green substance that mutated people?
With this potion I bought from some witches, I'll drop on this shit or watch as this switches into a weapon that I could use at will.
That's right. Not only does James Pond share a universe with the Looney Tunes, but that also means that said universe is the future of Quest for Camelot. Dr. Maybe isn't just controlling the lives of the inhabitants of Acme Acres. He inherited an ancient evil company founded by witches. It seems that this chemical, whatever it is made up of pure radiological ionizing black magic. Or it could just be rum. It does say shaken but not stirred, which is a reference to how Bond loves his martinis. Also in the Megadrive version, one of the mutated fish from Pennsylvania is swimming on land. Oh dear.
Anyways, this level is very annoying because these pelicans keep plugging off Pond when you're trying to put these cans on the surface, combined with these shit-ton of flowers that hurt Pond for no reason. And for some reason, these enemies keep hurting you after you took them out.
As you can tell, this game is really not fun to play. It seems like it should be, but the enjoyment of it is sucked out by the pointlessly stupid difficulty of the game, and it only gets worse as we go on.
The next level, Fish Fingers, is a bit easier in that the beach bombs don't die when you carry up the objects of villainy to be destroyed, so you can carry multiple bags to the same one. The bags in question are bags of loot, and you need to take them up to the surface and let the beach yobs destroy them. Which is weird, because according to the James Pond 3 manual, he's one of Dr. Maybe's minions. Maybe the smugglers are rivals of Acme? Or maybe the beach yob joined Dr. Maybe later? Anyways, there is a new item in this level, a top hat. It's the one other tool that makes Pond invincible. Nevertheless, the wand fairy is still important since Pond can't hold something if he's also wearing something. So, damn it, seriously?
Why do flowers still hurt Pond? Why? He's supposed to be invincible!
Yes, let's stick with the Sega Genesis version. So after that level is
Leaking lead.
Acme Oil is using leaking oil tankers which are polluting the sea. You must plug all of the leaks with sponges before the oil can contaminate the water.
I don't know. Last I checked, the best way to deal with evil oil companies polluting the environment was to set all the oil on fire with explosives. Why aren't we plugging those holes with dynamite?
I really don't have much to say about this level. Next up, They Only Live Once. Pond, you must lead helpless and extremely cute seals to safety before they are culled by vicious Arctic trappers.
They had to specify that the seals were extremely cute out of fear that the players wouldn't care about them. That's rich, given what we're about to see in this level.
So we have a new item, a gun. Cool, it allows you to kill enemies on land, which is something you normally cannot do because Pond can only fire bubbles underwater. So the gun allows you to defend yourself against enemies on land, which in this level means polar bears.
As I mentioned before, a good chunk of the enemies you kill in this game are other sea life, like crabs, jellyfish, and other fish, and now you're killing polar bears. I mean, I get that some wild animals are carnivores and may eat fish, but Pond is a heroic fish working for a spy agency dedicated to protecting the ocean. Yet you kill polar bears here. That's like one of the most quintessential save the Arctic types of animals. I mean, I haven't seen all of the James Bond films, but I'm pretty sure 007 didn't just kill random civilians who weren't aligned with the bad guys. This just feels backwards. Why aren't more of the enemies, Badnik-style robots?
And the game does have robotic pseudo-fish, as we will see later in a really horrible level. At least I can't— Damn it! Seriously? I can't take out this enemy? But I can kill the polar bears? So much for the gun. Well, it is useful on land, just not to an extent that makes sense. But I really don't need that as much as I need the fishbowl helmet, because this level requires you to be on land very frequently. Next level, orchids are forever. Construction workers are about to chop down rainforest trees to allow burgers to be grown.
As you can tell, this game obviously does not take itself seriously. I mean, the bad guys are literally the labs that Pinky and the Brain come from. And not to mention the game itself opens with a parody of the MGM logo. Plus, look at what happens when you pause the game.
Oh look, I just won the entire game already. Might as well stop here. Also, the manuals mention nothing of burgers being grown. It just mentions that you need to place magical flowers at each tree to protect them, which according to the game are poisonous flowers. Aw no, you can't bubble these scuba diving evil scientists to death. Time to go get the gun and— Holy shit! Why can't you take these enemies out?!
It's one thing, a very stupid thing, but a thing nonetheless, to make it to where Pond can't physically carry something with his hands if he's wearing something on his head, but to make it to where there's enemies that can't be killed at all, not even with this gun. As I mentioned, this game is pointlessly difficult. It sucks the joy out of it.
If you have the patience or sheer luck to make it out of that level, you get to go to Atlantis. In this level, Moneyraker, you need to collect vases and take them to a boat at the surface. Now this level starts very difficult. There are invisible jellyfish right outside the entrance pipe, and there's these missile launchers lining the path you'd have to take to get to the boat. But there is actually another boat at the end of the level you can take the vases up to, and it's not guarded by instant kill missile launchers, but rather the vampire fish and this stupid penguin thing. Annoying, but they don't instantly kill you like these missiles do. So this level is actually easier than it initially seems, though you will want to keep those jellyfish shades and explore the level first before you start collecting the vases. But goodness, this is one boring depiction of Atlantis. Mission 11, The Mermaid Who Loved Me, is the level that made me give up. That title is a lie, by the way. These mermaids do not love Pond. Because according to the game, what could a pretty mermaid see in a small orange fish? That's right, these mermaids are shallow dumbasses who won't listen to a well-dressed mudskipper who has to be at least 5 feet tall because they're more beautiful than you, Pond! Hence, you need to grab and hold these combs, many of which are well above the sea on these high, barely reachable platforms, combined with enemies on land, combined with more unkillable enemies teleporting everywhere!
So that was James Pond, Underwater Agent. It has an interesting gameplay style, but it really loses its fun near the end.
Many of the items in the game would be useful, but the game basically negates their usefulness by either making some enemies completely unkillable, as in the case of the gun, or making Pond unable to hold objects while wearing a headpiece. And this is the slightly easier Megadrive version. The Amiga version demands more of the player, and flowers hurt Pond! How the hell do flowers hurt Pond? It also doesn't help that the Amiga version does not have continues, which are actually quite helpful in the Genesis version.
I do think that this game could be massively improved with just a few tweaks. Just make it to where worn items and held items are different and that they can be on Pond at the same time, and make it to where the gun can kill all enemies, even those that normally can't be killed with bubbles. And if you have to make the flowers hurt Pond... Seriously, I don't know why they did that. At least make the flower sprite animated.
Because there are actually other faces the flowers make, so you could use that to convey that, okay, these are carnivorous plants that you should avoid. I have seen the game's actual ending, thank you gameplay videos online, and goodness, the ending is disappointing. You won, but look out! Like I said earlier, you'll get more out of just pausing the game. For years, Gameware Europe and System 3, the current owners of the James Pond IP, have not been interested in remaking any game but James Pond 2, hence them letting Play It Limited port this unnecessary remake to 80 different platforms and milking the shit out of it. Yes, sure, don't re-release the unique game or the most fun game, focus on the most boring game in the series, and then don't even keep the secret levels in that game. Just revamp the whole thing into a convoluted mess. Oh, and to make your brand new cash in on the nostalgia title a retread of this game, and market it with bot-generated slop pictures. System 3 in particular is now finally planning to put out a compilation of the other games in the series, and they're also using bot-generated slop as promotional pictures. Yeah, when I think of James Pond, the campy secret agent fish, I think generic Pixar knockoff 3D character designs. Well, at least good on them for finally caring about the whole series at least. Too bad they're a decade too late. And I don't feel like supporting a company that endorses AI slop.
Anyways, as far as this game goes, I'd say it's painfully mediocre. There's treasure to salvage, but the vessel is less than effective. I have a very personal connection to this series, so I can't bring myself to outright sink it. But it's still not a good game. It could have been, but it's not. Oh well, this is Captain Spifari signing out. Now I'm gonna go play James Pond 3, because that's the most fun out of all the 3 games.
Thank you guys for watching to the end. Make sure you like and subscribe, and leave a comment to let the captain know how you felt about this review. So just a disclaimer, as you heard, the captain does not normally review video games, it's just that James Pond the video game was a sufficiently weird thing to cover. So, about me. I am a real frog, but I used to be a plush toy frog, and I was the toy of none other than the captain himself. He used me as a stand-in for James Pond. Even though I was still a frog plushie and not an orange fish, my toy body did actually look a lot like James Pond as he appeared in James Pond 3. This right here was my original body. As you can see, it's badly damaged. It was damaged during the Great War to Rooms. Toy Story was lying to you! Your toys ain't getting along when you're not looking! They're fighting in great big battles! Battles that leave tons of cotton and microplastics everywhere. Oh, sorry. I'm losing myself. It just brought me back to the good old days, you know. Back when I was an immortal plush toy instead of a mortal amphibian. Oh my.